So I recently got my body fat measured after going through a 12-week fat loss phase. In this video, I'm going to be going over my DEXA scan results, but make sure you watch till the end because I'm going to be sharing with you tips that you can use to get to and even maintain 10% body fat. So I have to preface that I've been training drug-free for the entirety of my lifting career. I started training 10 years ago in January of 2013 at 20 years old, weighing 198 pounds at 6 feet tall. The morning of this DEXA scan was the end of a 12-week fat loss phase where I weighed 220 pounds after losing about 13 pounds. Interestingly enough, the DEXA weighed me slightly heavier at 224 pounds despite me being completely fasted leading up to the scan. According to the DEXA, I'm at 9.4% body fat. I have a total lean mass of about 195.8 pounds and about 20.4 pounds of actual fat on my body. The portion of my body where I store the most fat is in my legs in comparison to my trunk, which holds less fat. In terms of symmetry, my arms are perfectly symmetrical. My legs, on the other hand, aren't, which is funny because I've actually broken one of my legs when I was a kid, and it's the one that appears to be slightly bigger here on the DEXA scan. Overall, I have about a 1.8 pound difference in lean mass between my left side and my right side. In terms of bone density, I can honestly thank multiple years of powerlifting for the reason why I'm scoring very high on this chart, especially relative to my age. My visceral fat is literally non-existent, which actually makes sense considering that I was on a clean diet leading up to this scan. My AG ratio, android-gynoid ratio, which is a proportion of fat between my abdomen versus my hips and thighs, is at 0.58. This pretty much confirms what I said earlier about my lower body being the area where I store the most body fat due to my genetics. Honestly, DEXA scans and other body fat testing methods are essentially just estimates. They serve as a snapshot of a specific point in time and they're subject to fluctuations even on a daily basis. Stephanie Buttermore actually made a video where she got multiple DEXA scans within a 2-day time span. She was slightly heavier on the second day, so the increase in her lean mass from the added water retention registered as a decrease in body fat relative to the increase of her overall body mass. Funny enough, the next day after my DEXA, I woke up weighing 2 pounds less. I looked much tighter, which made me wonder what body fat percentage the DEXA would have had me at had I taken it a day later as well. Either way, there's no mistaking that I was at most 10% body fat. And here's how even you yourself can diet down to 10% or lower, which is by first setting up a realistic timeline and understanding the caveats related to that specific timeline. Relatively speaking, you should aim to lose no more than 1% of your body weight each week, and ideally no more than 10% of that body weight over the span of a singular period of dieting. The most appropriate exception to this is when you're dieting for a bodybuilding show, because you're chasing a temporary level of leanness within a timeline that isn't very flexible. In all other instances, it makes the most sense to take periodic diet breaks and even multiple dieting phases in order to reach your goal. In my case specifically, I lost 6% of my body weight over a 12-week time span. 13 pounds may not seem like a lot of weight, but when viewed in the context of not dieting aggressively, while also experiencing multiple weeks of either minimal or no weight loss, it was actually a decent amount of weight to lose within a 12-week time span. My initial goal was to drop about 10 pounds, but when you count the weigh-in after the DEXA scan, then I lost 15 pounds total by implementing the next important tip, which is adherence. Now when it comes to adherence, I specifically mean your diet and your cardio. Pick a diet that you can realistically stick to for the entirety of the fat loss phase. Don't just cut out the foods that you enjoy. Find some way to incorporate all the foods that you enjoy eating because that's the only way you'll realistically stick to a diet, especially in the end when you want to maintain your body weight. Same with cardio. Pick an amount of cardio that you can realistically maintain even after your diet. You have to think about what comes afterwards. The more aggressive you are with your diet, the harder it's going to be for you to maintain these habits over the long haul, especially after the diet's over. I know if I would have done like an hour of cardio like 5-6 times a week, there's no way I would have been able to maintain that in the long haul. So that's another tip. Make sure you pick a cardio routine that you know you realistically can do even when you're lean. Now the last important tip is tracking. Why is tracking important? Tracking is important because without it, you can't properly execute on a timeline that you can actually adhere to. Now, keeping a log of data for variables such as your caloric intake and your cardio is important because you're going to need it in order to work your way backwards, especially when you want to maintain your weight. Now, if you're a complete beginner, I recommend checking out this video that I made that I'll link in the description. It goes over how to track your calories, how to weigh out your food, and how to track your progress on a week-to-week basis. So that's it for the video, and as usual, I'll see you guys in the next one.